Karen's Creative. Today I'm focusing on crocheting granny squares together with no sewing required. One of my least favorite things to do when I crochet is to pick up a yarn needle and start sewing blocks together or some other type of piece. This seems more like work to me than fun, and I'm not really satisfied with the finished piece either after I'm finished. So most of the time I crochet my pieces together. It isn't any sort of new technique, and I've been doing it for decades, but just in case you haven't seen it before or tried it yourself, I wanted to show you how to do it. First, let me tell you briefly how individual blocks are constructed. My squares have 3 groups of double crochets with a chain stitch, 3 more double crochets, chain stitch, 3 double crochets, and in the corners I have 3 chain stitches to make the turn. That's pretty standard for a granny square. So with that understanding, let's take a look at some of the blocks that I've already crocheted together so that you get a feel for what the finished product will look like. Then I'll show you how you can do this yourself. As I pull the blocks apart, you'll see that there is space between each group of double crochets where the chain 1 is when you're crocheting the actual block itself. So it's only a slip stitch that holds each granny square to the other, and in the corner it takes a little fancy handwork to make a pattern in the corner and be consistent with it. But I like the look, so I'm pleased with it. This is very easy to accomplish and takes little knowledge outside of what you already use to do the normal block. Let's take a look at how it's done. I'm finding a corner where 2 pieces are already together and form a corner. I'm going to fit my new block into this space. So I already have my joining color on the block. I have 1 full round of the joining color, and I've started a partial second round on one side. I've completed the side with a group of 3 double crochets. Now it's time to insert my hook, pick up the larger piece where I want to join it, make sure that the yarn is to the right side of my hook, and with that go to the space between the blocks. Insert the hook there. Now I'm going to bring the hook under the yarn, complete a slip stitch. Now the new block is connected to the larger piece. Next, I'm going back to my original block and do my next group of 3 double crochets in the corner. You'll notice that I hold my hook and my yarn a bit unconventionally, but you're free to do this in any form that you've learned from whatever source. As long as you have a good end result, it really doesn't matter that much. Now, I've finished my group of 3 double crochets, and I'm now hooked to the larger piece. Instead of doing a chain 1 as if I were constructing my block, I'm going to go back in to the next space on the opposing block, complete another slip stitch, and I'm continuing to join to the larger piece. Again, I'll complete 3 double crochets. That didn't go just exactly right, so let's try that again. For those of you who haven't attempted a video blog, it's a little more difficult than it might seem at first. Now, we've started to join the pieces together. Again, it's time for a slip stitch and 3 more double crochets. I think you get the idea. Another slip stitch, and this is the pattern that's being formed. I'll work across to the end of the row and pick up the video again. Now, as you can see, I have the first side almost joined to the larger piece. I've arrived at the corner. I have finished my group of 3 double crochets. I've done 1 chain stitch. Instead of a second chain stitch of 3, it's now time to do a slip stitch in the space between blocks. In the larger piece, you can see that there are 3 blocks already joined to the piece. This will make the 4th. So, making sure my yarn is placed correctly, to the right of the hook and out of the way, I'm placing the hook in the space between blocks. Now it's time to complete my slip stitch. Now the corner is also joined, and it's time to start the next side of the original block. I'm going to do the 3rd chain of 3 that would normally be in the corner. And I'm going to do my group of 3 double crochets once again. I've now formed my corner. Now it's time to work with this block to come down the row of a different block. Slip stitch, group of 3 double crochets, I'm sure it seems my yarn is a bit out of place, and that's because I'm trying to work around the camera. I'm again at a space, going to slip stitch in the next space, do another 3 double crochets, and continue to the next corner. You've now seen the entire process, and all that's required is to really do each corner in like manner, finish off the entire round of the block you're working on, fasten it off, and start on a new block. I hope you've enjoyed this little demo of how you can crochet blocks together rather than sew them. This really is a very sturdy construction, and it'll last you for years. Happy crocheting. Thank you for visiting. I hope you'll come back soon.